Today's show is sponsored by Kyrios Consulting. That is Kyrios with a Y, Kyrios. Real estate investing can be intimidating. That's why you don't do it alone. Kyrios Consulting gets you from no real estate to your first rental property. My friend Steve did it right here in New Hampshire, and he wants to help other Christians do the same. Visit consultingbykyrios.com. Again, that's with a Y, consultingbykyrios.com. No more excuses. The world needs more Christians with passive income, not more passive Christians. Make it happen. The link is in the description.
No, you're still holding on. Let go.
All right, everybody. That is correct. A lot of you are still holding on, and you gotta let go. You just have to. It's okay to take the L. I mean, look at the Yankees, right? I mean, they lost the World Series last night, which, by the way, I as a Mets fan, as a Jets fan, even the Rangers to some degree, I know a epic, playoff meltdown when I see one. Am I wrong, or was this the most ridiculous meltdown inning in the World Series history? The fifth inning of the Yankee game last night. It was ridiculous. The fundamentals. I mean, I was saying the other day that the Dodgers were playing really crisp defense, and the Yankees had decent defense throughout the series, but that fifth inning was like Little League stuff. There were so many fundamentals that my kids know in Little League that they know too. They just didn't do it. I mean, Garrett Cole not covering first base, and then on top of that, the first baseman, if he just hustled, could have gotten to first base on his own. I mean, it's Garrett's fault. He's supposed to be there. But also, this first baseman, I watch a lot of Yankees baseball. He's kind of known for this lollygagging attitude. It was a disgrace. It was a total disgrace. And the Yankees lost the World Series because of it. But even the Yankees knew, you can take your L's, but if you show up to play every day, you could win a game or two. And I felt like the Yankees were in such a good spot to get to Game 6. And then if you get to Game 6, I mean, it's a toss-up whether you get to Game 7. And then it's anything goes. Who knows what's going to happen? So, you can take your L's and move on. But so many of you have decided not to take the L's. Now, my follower base on YouTube is mostly very pro me, as you might imagine. But I have a lot of hate watchers too. And they were commenting in full force a couple days ago when I kind of stepped out on a ledge and defended Joel Webbon because he needed to be defended. The Tobias video was absurd in and of itself. And I was talking to my wife about this the other day because I try to insulate her from a lot of the online stuff. She's not really built for it. But I was talking to her about this last night because she had some friends reaching out, asking her questions. And, as I described to her the Tobias video, it's like, in and of itself, even if you didn't know everything that I know, you should not have been fooled by it. It was so bad. And but people were out in force, piling on Joel, and I felt like I had to get his back, and I did before a lot of people knew that he was lying, and I got a lot of flack for it. And hold on one second. Okay, cool. And so people were all over me, for so many reasons. And even now, it's amazing to me. This is the thing. It's amazing to me, even now, as Eschatology Matters has done the right thing, as I expected them to do. I mean, I fully expected Eschatology Matters to do the right thing here. They did the right thing. They pulled the video down. I'm not sure if they pulled it off Fight Laugh Feast Network. I hope they did. I'm assuming they will at some point if they haven't already. Even after they did that, even after they issued the actual real kind of apology retraction, like, hey, this led to slander, and we played a part in that. We allowed this guy to come out and slander Joel Webbon, and we regret doing that. Even after that, there are still people holding on. You don't get it, AD. You don't get it. And so I just wanted to dedicate this video to you guys. You know what I mean? To you guys. And I wanted to read some of these comments and really see, if any of them aged well. And if they did age well, if they didn't age well, we're just going to all have a good laugh together. And if they did age well, I'm going to respond to what they say, because I think there's still some things pending about Joel's presentation that I feel like I want to respond to. Now, I've been getting some messages from a number of people, a number of good people. So if you were one of them that sent me a message like this, I want you to know that I don't think you're stupid or anything. But I've been getting a lot of messages that are like, dude, he's already dead. You don't have to beat him anymore. I feel bad for Tobias. I feel bad for him, and I'm like, to a certain degree, so do I. To a certain degree, so do I. I feel sympathy for Tobias. In fact, I said this on my video yesterday. This guy's pastoring in Germany. And so just that in and of itself is a tough lot in life. I mean, you can be thrown into prison for expressing the wrong opinion publicly. Like, it's not a good place to live. You know what I mean? It's not a good place to live. I'm pretty sure, isn't homeschooling illegal there? Maybe I'm thinking of a different country, whatever. All these European countries, they're all the same to me. I mean, all you white people look the same to me. But in any case, so I feel sympathy for him too. But Tobias's presentation was so personal. It was so evil. He lied so obviously that I am going to blast him into orbit. Hopefully, he never comes back to the United States. Well, I mean, I don't care if he comes back to the United States, but hopefully his platform days of building in America are completely over. Go focus on Germany and leave us alone. That's what I want. So I have sympathy for you, but unfortunately, you're going to be taught a lesson. You can't just lie about people over here. You can't just launch a nuclear attack against one of ours without paying the price for it, when it turns out that maybe you just had too much of an itchy trigger finger. That's the thing. Like, maybe you were a little too trigger happy. I know you don't have a lot of practice with firearms over in Germany. You know what I mean? You might not know all the rules of how to handle firearms. But here in America, we learn the rules of handling firearms when we're like 6 years old. And so here's the thing. You're going to be taught a lesson on this issue. Now, don't hear me saying you need to be taught a lesson in every way, because you don't. You probably know a lot more than me. You're probably more experienced as a commentator than I am. You're a pastor. I'm not. I'm not saying you need to learn from me everything. But in this area, this is my domain. This is my domain. You went on YouTube and you put out an awful video, and you're going to be taught a YouTube lesson. It is that simple. Now, you might think, oh, that sounds really arrogant, AD. Again, hear me saying, I'm qualifying this. Tobias doesn't need to learn much from me. But when he comes to YouTube, which is where I operate, it's not really my domain, but it's where I operate, you're going to be taught some YouTube lessons. It's that simple. So this is not over. This is not over. The dead horse will continue to be beaten into submission. And that's the bottom line. We're going to go over the whole thing. Oh, you don't think I should have commented before listening to the whole video? Well, guess what? I've listened to it now. And it gets worse and worse and worse. So before you open your mouth and say, you don't have the right to listen to comment before listening to the whole video, be careful what you wish for. Be careful what you wish for, because I listened to 3 things. He went 0 for 3, and I was going to end it there. The dead horse would have been beaten and left alone there. But you asked for it. You said, how dare you comment on part of the video and not the whole video? Well, okay. We're going to go painstakingly through it all. And the lies that you've told, Tobias, will be piled one on top of another until the hill of lies looks like Mount Everest, because that's what this video is. That's what your video is. You heaped feces on top of feces on top of feces. You were mudslinging like it was your freaking job to do it. And you piled a huge mountain of feces, and you probably figured, look, I mean, nobody's going to believe I would go this crazy if it wasn't true. You probably figured that if you just kept piling the mud on top of each other, eventually it was going to be like this. This is a tactic. Where there's smoke, there's fire. You just hurled the insults again and again and again, and you figured that if you tell a big enough lie, nobody's going to question you. But you forgot about a couple things. Number one, you don't know what you're doing on YouTube. This is the domain that I operate in. And so we will do what we have to do to expose your lies. The other thing you forgot is that Joel Webbon just happens to be blessed with an entire army of autistic memers. And I mean autistic in the most loving way possible. I mean in the way that they will leave no stone unturned. There's no length they won't go to find out how inconsistent you have been, how many lies you have told, exactly how to clip your own statements together to show people how uneven the balances and weights that you've used to judge Joel Webbon, and that can be turned around and judge you just as harshly. You forgot about that. And not only will they leave no stone unturned because of their hyper focus due to their autism. And again, I mean that in the most loving way possible. That I love autistic people. Not only is there a focus there, but they also can meme. And as we all know, and many people lament, that people learn a lot from memes these days. You might not like it, but it's the truth. And they're effective at it, and they're funny, and they're hilarious, and they'll never stop. They'll never stop. This is what YouTube is like. Now, I gotta say, I'm not saying you can't go against the autistic memers out there, but if you do, you better bring it. Your game better be tight. You better come correct. You better come in heavy, or don't come heavy, or don't come in at all. I ruined that. I messed that one up. It's a line from The Sopranos, just in case you're wondering. It's a line from The Sopranos. And that's the kind of thing that people will pick up on. Like, you made these there's unforced errors. Unforced errors. You know, the Achilles line, right? Where Joel says, that's why no one will remember your name, right? I don't know if you knew that was from Achilles or not, but all the autistic people know. They remember. They remember. So you use that as your knockdown. Look at how arrogant Joel Webbon is. Look at him. What kind of a mind thinks this way? That's the impression you wanted us to get. And Nathaniel Jolly jumped in on it, and lots of people. They're pointing to this Joel Webbon quote. No one will remember your name. Look at him. He's just trying to make a name for himself. And maybe you knew that was from a movie, maybe you didn't. But the autistic guys know. They remember. And so your knockdown, epic argument about how arrogant Joel Webbon is, turns out it was just a meme, and you didn't know, or if you did, you didn't think anyone else would know, so you could just slide that one in there. And guess what? His army of autistic memers knew. And so it had no effect on them because they knew what he was saying. They knew what he was saying. Now, I knew this was from a movie. I didn't know it was from Achilles. Was it the movie Troy? I don't know. I don't really watch a lot of movies like that, right? I've never seen a Marvel movie, for example. I've never even seen not even one. There's certain movies I watch, but I don't watch a lot of movies. So I didn't know that it was from Troy, but I had heard it from a movie before. I think I've seen the movie before. Long time ago, just kind of like one of those things when I used to be in college and there'd be a movie on and I'd be, getting hammered and stuff like that. So I didn't really watch it, but I remember the line. So I knew it was from, and I remember when he said it on the video, I was like, oh man, because I knew lots of people would pick up on that and say, oh, look how arrogant Joel is. Look. And I knew it was a line from a movie, but, I knew that was going to be a big deal. Point is, you gotta stop holding on. If you shared this video and you thought it was so good, I'm talking to Scott, I'm talking to Dr. White, I'm talking to K-Dub, I'm talking to Joe Boot, I'm talking to Doug Wilson, I'm talking to all of these guys, many of whom I love, and you can't stop me from loving them. It's as simple as that. But if you're one of these guys that shared this and you're still holding on, the fundamental ideas are still there. It's still true, even though it's obviously full of lies. I admit that, but we're still right. If that's you, you gotta let go. This one is an L. Take the L and move on. Try again if you want to. Now, I'm not suggesting it, though. I'm not suggesting you try again, because chances are when you're opening statement was full of lies, so much so that it had to be deleted from the internet, chances are you've lost your hearing. But go for it if you want. I'm not saying don't. I'm saying try again if you want to. If I were you, I wouldn't, but go for it. You gotta issue real retractions. You've got to look at the second Eschatology Matters retraction, because the first one fell into the same camp as a lot of you guys that are retracting it now, where you're saying, yeah, it was full of lies, but we're still right, essentially. You've got to actually issue a real one. You participated in some way in trying to destroy Joel Webbon's name. And it was an epic, colossal failure. I'm not sure which was the bigger failure yesterday. Was the Yankees' fifth inning, where they forgot how to play baseball for an inning, and they were up 5-0, and they end up tied at the end of the inning because they can't freaking throw anybody out? Was that a more epic collapse, or was the collapse where you tried to destroy the name of Joel Webbon and failed? Face planted, just in time for No Quarter November. Anyway, let's read some of these comments. A lot of comments here. This was a hot button. Here we go. We've got a couple comments here. These are positive comments. We'll skip the positive comments. If you're interested in seeing the positive things people say about me, maybe this is not the video for you. Maybe go to the video itself. We'll go from there. Let's see. All right, we've got here. Let's see. Here's one that's not really that critical, but sort of critical. Titus 3:9 ESV, but avoid foolish controversies, genealogies, dissensions, and quarrels about the law, for they are unprofitable and worthless. Yeah, it's a good verse, and it's definitely relevant and things like that. And actually, there was quite a few comments like this from people that said, why are you sticking your beak in here, AD? Why are you involved in this? You're not involved in this. Well, the reality is I'm involved because I'm involved. I am on the board of Right Response Ministries, the ministry that was selected for destruction. It was selected to destroy the name of the lead guy on Right Response Ministries. I'm not making any accusations as to why it was selected, but it was. They were trying to destroy the name of Joel Webbon. And as part and parcel of that, they're trying to destroy Right Response Ministries, a ministry where I serve on the board. So I'm involved because I'm involved. I don't know what else to tell you. You know what I mean? This is a controversy that came to me. I didn't start it. I wouldn't have started something like this. It came to me. And so while I agree with this verse that this is all foolish, this is all a dissension, this is all quarreling, sometimes you're left with no option but to defend yourself. Against obvious and quite easy to understand lies. So I appreciate the criticism. A lot of people don't know that I'm on the board of Right Response Ministries. A lot of people wondering, like, am I just grabbing a passing ear by the dogs? This is a controversy that's not mine. It is a controversy that's mine. It's as simple, and I'm owning that. When I joined the board of Right Response Ministries, I owned the fact that if there's a controversy with Right Response, I'm involved now. You know what I mean? I don't know what else to tell you. So, decent comment, but just to explain why I'm involved, that's why I'm involved. I'm involved because I am involved. Simple as that. All right, here we go. AD, he calls you out by name later in the video. Yes, I am aware of that. And I hadn't seen that when I did my first video on it, but I had heard that I was. But I am aware that he calls me out by name later in the video. I'm sorry, but I just am not at all concerned with what a pastor in Germany thinks about me. I don't care. I don't give it any weight. It might as well be David Platt saying something about me. I just don't care what Tobias thinks about me. I don't care. And I said this too about Dr. White, and someone got really scandalized about this. You know, Dr. White said after seeing my video, he was very discouraged, or it wasn't encouraging, or something like along those lines, right? Something, he wasn't happy with it, right? And I said, I don't care. I don't care. Now, that's not to say I don't care about Dr. White. I do. But I don't care about encouraging Dr. White. He doesn't need my encouragement. I consider Dr. White like a grandfather, or not a grandfather, a father in the faith. I do. And you can't stop. This is the thing. People wonder, you can't stop me from loving Dr. White. You know what I mean? I'm disappointed in Dr. White, but I still love the guy. I do. But I don't care that I discouraged him in my response. And this is the thing. I'm waiting for the retraction from Dr. White. I await this with bated breath. And I fully expect it to come. Because I think that Dr. White is a good man. So I expect an actual, real retraction and apology to Joel Webbon. And I'm not saying you have to apologize and say Joel Webbon's right about everything. But about this, Joel Webbon was right. Dr. White, it was so interesting. He started talking about how that Tobias kind of was a little bit, not offended, but like he was sad that Dr. White couldn't come to his aid earlier. And Dr. White said, wisely I might add, I just simply can't. It's not possible for me to come to your defense because Joel is referring to a conversation on Zoom that I wasn't a part of. And so while I believe Tobias, I wasn't a part of that conversation, so I don't really know what was said. So it's not possible for me to come to your defense. And then he goes on to come to his defense now because Tobias revealed his side of the story. You should have listened to your first instinct, Dr. White, because even though you heard Tobias's side of the story, you still weren't part of that video phone call. I've heard the video phone call now, and you were right the first time. You were right the first time. And the thing is, you didn't even need, this is the point, you didn't need the video phone call to know that Tobias was full of it. Tobias's own words in his own video, in the same video. It's not like we're pulling something from over here and trying to match it together. No, it's the same presentation. He shows you he's full of it. Often within the same sentences. Like one sentence after another contradict each other. If you watched this video with a discerning eye, you would know Tobias was lying. You would know. So if you were fooled by Tobias's video, even not having some of the knowledge that I have about the private phone calls, which, by the way, there's conversations happening right as we speak about whether or not to release that video. And when it comes out, it will be devastating to all of you who are holding on. You've got to let go now. You've got to let go now. And I'm not saying you have to go on Joel's side, but you do have to apologize for jumping to conclusions. You must apologize. You must. It is what you need to do. Do it now before the video comes out, because when it comes out, if it does, it's going to be way worse for you. Let me just say it now. Tobias, you need to apologize now. You must now. And I'm not saying you have to agree with Joel that this guy is a believer. I'm not saying that, but you must apologize to Joel for how you lied about him. You lied about him. Anyway, let's continue. Okay, we got some people saying da-da-da. Yeah, here's somebody that was... A lot of people that are friendly to me criticize me similarly to the way James White did about having to watch the video. Here's an example. If you have time, it would be worth listening to Tobias' whole podcast as he goes into much more depth with purported and alleged proof. I would slog through it. His biggest allegation is that this guy wasn't this crazy until he went to Joel's church, and that Joel knows this and is covering for the guy's radicalization. Something that's super sketchy about the whole situation with Tobias as well, not just on Joel's side. It would be worth the listen. A lot of people were criticizing me about not watching the whole video that were friendly to me. And I understand why. I'm not mad at you, not at all. I mean, because this guy's exactly right. He says a lot more wild stuff than the stuff I initially covered. And this guy gets it. This guy gets it. Outboard Pernce Linston, I don't know his name. But he says that, something is super sketchy about the whole situation after listening to Tobias's words. He says he goes into more depth with purported and alleged proof. Yeah, he does do that. He keeps saying the proof is coming, and it never comes. It's just allegation on top of allegation after top of allegation. The proof is coming, allegation. The proof is coming, allegation, allegation. And he thinks that if he puts this big pile of feces in front of you, that you're not going to be able to remember, oh, the proof never came. It was just allegations. He said he had the receipts, but all you have is a big pile of poop. It's amazing. It's a strategy. It's a strategy. They do this all the time. They do this to Trump. They do this to all kinds of people. They've done it to Doug Wilson. They've done it to James White. Like, they've been on the receiving end of this before. Crazy. Crazy. All right, let's see. Yeah, so we got this guy. I can't read. There's too much there. He talks about the Corey Mahler tweet, which was completely launched into orbit. I mean, like, it's just you gotta just, you don't even know what to say anymore. Let's see here. All right. Yeah, man, there's a lot more positive comments here than I remember. Here's one that people bring up a lot. They said, whoever's in the wrong needs to be disqualified from ministry. This is more than a misunderstanding. Someone is intentionally lying and slandering. Yeah, it's very true. Someone is intentionally lying and slandering, and it was Tobias. It's not just someone. It's Tobias who's doing that. Now, does he need to be disqualified from ministry? That's not for me to decide. I'm not going to comment on that. I have my opinion, and I'm not no quarter AD right now, so I'm not going to give it to you. But I don't know if someone needs to be disqualified from ministry. What I do know is that his podcast career in America should be over. It should be done. He should not have a platform here in the United States. Let him do what he wants to do in Germany. Let the Germans handle that. It's over for him here. It has to be over. This man is a liar. It's proven that he's a liar. Even his own supporter, his own patron, the one who dedicated his own credibility to Tobias, lending him his platform, lending him his YouTube channel, lending him his audience. He put his full weight of support behind Tobias. That person heard the evidence and deleted the video from the internet because it was that shocking. The lies were so apparent and so shocking. No room for misunderstanding, no room for miscommunication. It was full of lies and slander. That's what he said. I didn't say that. That's what he said. It was slanderous. It led to slandering Joel Webbon's name, trying to destroy and murder his name. It was deleted from the internet. If that's the only fact you had, that he heard the call and deleted his own video from the internet, Tobias didn't, Eschatology Matters did. If that's the only fact you knew, you would know enough to say, this man should not be listened to in America anymore. There should be no episode 2. Guys, when I said in this video that this was the worst inaugural episode of any podcast in history, I was right. And I've been completely exonerated and justified. There should be no episode 2. This is it. He had his shot, and he blew it. He didn't cover first base. This is basic errors. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Let's see here. Yeah, this guy gets it. I, too, watched the first 20 minutes of Tobias' videos and will not be dedicating any more time to this nonsense. That's it, man. Like, how many chances do you give the guy? Oh, AD, you had to listen to the whole video. I listened to 20 minutes of it. And he had 3 points that I covered, and he was 0 for 3. Maybe I'm just obsessed with baseball right now. It's October, 3 strikes, you're out. It's not even like one of them was a good point, or even a half a point. It was awful. 0 for 3. So I was like, I don't even need to listen to this anymore. Oh, you got to listen to it. Okay. Be careful what you wish for, because his 0 for streak is going to make Aaron Judge's slump in the playoffs look good in comparison. Although he broke out of the slump. I mean, big time, big time. I was very impressed with Aaron Judge. All right. Let's see here. Here's somebody that asked me, AD, when's the last time you went back to the floating pile of trash? It's been a few years, before my kids were born, I think, even. So it's probably been about 9 years, a little over 9 years since I've been to Puerto Rico. And Puerto Rico is a beautiful island in some ways, very corrupt in others, very ugly in others. It's got a lot of problems. Puerto Rico has a lot of problems. And if you ask Puerto Ricans, they'll admit them to you. You know what I mean? It's as simple as that. It's a very corrupt place. There's an entire section of Old San Juan, which is where most of the tourists go. If you look at the tourist maps, they delete it from the maps because it's so dangerous for tourists to go there. They don't even want you to know it exists. It's called La Perla. La Perla. I've heard it's less dangerous nowadays, but I'm not necessarily sure I believe that. Anyway, this is just crazy. This is just crazy. Let's continue. Yeah, here's one that keeps coming up too. I see your point on this particular point, but Tobias did bring up plenty of reasonable issues that would be good to address. And Joel does seem to have an arrogance about him that I think should be realized. A lot of people are saying this. And I feel like I know where it comes from. You know what I mean? Joel speaks in a very confident way. Joel speaks in a very forceful way. And a lot of people interpret that as arrogance. And you know what? Maybe you've got a point that at times there's some arrogance displayed, okay? Because here's the thing. I mean, at times most of us suffer from, I say suffer, but that's not really the right word. Most of us display some arrogance at times. It's hard sometimes to detect and tell the difference between arrogance and confidence. So that's the one thing I'll say. But even if it is arrogance, let's just say, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Let's just say you have a point, right? Let's just say that you're right. Just take it for what it is, right? I'm not going to argue. Let's say Joel has arrogance about him, right? And you really want people to know that. Here's the way not to do it. To make, number one, a federal case out of a meme statement. Number two, to put out a video full of lies. And so while maybe like I said in the video, maybe he has some gold in the rest of the video, but unfortunately he went 0 for 3. You know what I mean? You don't get a fourth strike. You know what I mean? Like maybe you would have maybe Judge would have hit a home run in the fourth strike of all those pitches. In fact, oftentimes, if you notice in baseball, if there's a bad call and it's strike 3 and the umpire calls it a ball, a lot of times those batters get a hit after that. If you give major leaguers a fourth strike, they get a hit, right? That happens quite a bit. So it's reasonable to think, oh, maybe he has a good point, right? But here's the thing. You don't get a fourth strike. You don't get a fourth strike unless somebody makes a mistake. The umpire has to actually make a mistake for you to get that fourth strike. And so this is the problem. Like, in reality, if you have awful point after awful point after awful point, a lot of people aren't going to even hear you about the arrogance, allegedly, of Joel Webbon. So if you're really concerned about Joel's arrogance, try again, I guess. I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, we're going to get into that because I do want to address that after Tobias, or Tobias's camp, let's say, insisted that AD Robles watch the whole video. You're going to get your wish. I'm pretty sure you're going to wish you never insisted that I watch the rest of the video. Let's put it that way. All right. Let's see here. I think I've made my point. We've been at this for 35 minutes. But, yeah, I mean, a lot of people, and I want, maybe I'll go to the next video, too. This is the video yesterday. But there was a lot of people here that, even after the video was deleted, even after, it's admitted that it was full of lies, they're still holding on. And here's the thing, I don't hate many of the people that are holding on to this. I want what's best for you. And knowing what I know about the video or the audio recording of this phone call that's at question here, let me just say this: you want to get out in front of this. You want to get out in front of this. Stop holding on. Because if you hold on to this and then this stuff comes out, it's not going to be a good look for you. I want there to be a good look for you. This is the thing. If you apologize now and say, hey, I didn't know, and the fact that Eschatology Matters decided it was so bad they had to delete it, it's like I gotta pull back too. I haven't heard the audio, but I'm sorry for jumping the gun here. This was a serious issue that I believed on very little evidence. I'm sorry for that. People would forget about that in a few months. You know what I mean? You won't lose credibility for apologizing and owning up to your mistakes and asking forgiveness. Christians are very forgiving. They're very forgiving, Tobias. Christians are very forgiving, Dr. White. Christians are very forgiving, K-Dub. Christians are very forgiving, Joe Boop. Christians are very forgiving, Scott and Neil. They're very forgiving, Doug. They're very forgiving. And a lot of the Christians that are very disappointed in some of these fake retractions have had your back. Doug, Joe, James, K-Dub, maybe not Scott. Maybe not Scott. But Scott, too, in fairness. They've had your back so many times, and they would be willing to have your back again. All it takes is a real retraction, a real apology to Joel. You don't have to apologize to me. My name is not the one that was trying to be destroyed. I'm just a part of the ministry. You should apologize to Joel publicly. You really should. Everyone would forget about this incident in 2 months. I'm concerned. Mark it down. AD Robles is concerned posting. I'm concerned that if you choose to not issue a real retraction, and if you choose to not apologize or ask for forgiveness to Joel Webbon specifically, by name, personally, if you choose that route to dig in and say, yeah, the video was full of lies, it was taken down, but the core issues are still here, we're still right. If that's the route you choose, my concern is that many will never forget it. And that will be the nail in the coffin. That will be where it divides. They will never forget it. Because so many of us have looked at you guys as models of integrity, holding the line, protecting your flock when necessary, even up against the mob. doing what's right, even when it's hard to do what's right and it costs you. We've seen that and we've loved it. It's one of the things I admire most about Dr. White. It's one of the things I admire most, certainly about Doug Wilson. How many times have I fielded the, he harbors pedophile thing, and I know a little bit about the situation, what's been revealed. And all I see is a pastor doing good pastor things. You know what I mean? And I'm concerned that if you choose to not actually apologize to Joel Webbon and actually really retract it, for real, that'll be the end for many people. For many people. And I don't want that for you. I don't. Eat some humble pie. Take the L and move on, man. Move on. I wish the Yankees won today because it would have been such a good object lesson. You know what I mean? They took 3 L's in a row and came back on game 4 ready to play and put up 11 spot on the Dodgers. And then in the next game, they came out fast. It looked like we were going to game 6, something that's never been done before. After losing 3 games in a row, nobody has ever taken it to game 6 even. It looked like we were about to get that. You can do that right now. Take the L and move on. Come ready to play today. Do it. You just got to do it. Because if you do it, take the L, move on, and start winning today, everyone will forget within a couple months. If you don't do it, my concern, I'm concern posting, is that'll be it. That'll be the end. And it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that way. But I think it will be that way for many people. In any case, I hope you found this kind of weird episode helpful. I was hoping to get to some more of these comments of people holding on, but I wasn't really all that prepared. In any case, I hope you found this video helpful. God bless.